did though. I don't know why. Fucking hated that. Yeah, fucking happy because it did that for no reason. Jeez, what the fuck is going on with this? I'm really sick of this.
That's traffic. I'm Katie Green.
This report is sponsored by The Floor Store. Don't miss The Floor Store's year-end clearance sale and save up to 50%, plus no sales tax and 0% interest financing for 24 months. Visit floorstores.com for the location nearest you. The Floor Store is your Bay Area flooring authority.
I'm Rick Edelman, host of the award-winning personal finance radio show, The Truth About Your Future. Here to tell you that The Truth About Your Future is now a daily podcast. Short and quick, every day I give you the information you need about personal finance, longevity, retirement security, exponential technologies, blockchain and digital assets, and health and wellness. Get the truth about your future with Rick Edelman. The podcast is at YouTube, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, and thetruthayf.com.
The microphone, taking the fight to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Dan Bongino Show. Here he is, Dan Bongino.
Yeah, I'm back. Listen, it is totally, 100%, completely, absolutely, and yes, that's an intentional absolutely. For those of you who know the Dan Bongino Show rules of absolutely, it's typically Phil people use on TV when they can't think of anything to say. But that was an intentional absolutely. It is absolutely unforgivable. It's not on the air. You need to petition PDs that I'm fired immediately for being out yesterday. Immediately. Start a petition. Let's get billboards up immediately. Fire Dan Bongino. Jim's even drinking from this current thing. Let's make that the current thing. I should be fired. Now, in my defense, as I first prosecute myself and now I give the defense. I had a medical appointment I seriously could not get out of for a very serious thing. You want to hear the hilarious part of this whole thing? So I go in because my nose is a mess and totally collapsed, and I fixed this thing, right? And I think it's going to be the biggest disaster ever. But because my friend is a surgeon, I call him the Magic Man, did such an amazing job, I had no issues at all. None. I thought this thing, am I going to be able to breathe for weeks? It's going to look ridiculous. It's horrible. Big black eyes and stuff like that. And almost nothing happened. I felt great right away. I thought, wow, you exaggerated. So yesterday I go in, for when I say a minor thing, but really definitely had to be handled, kind of like a little tune-up, maybe just an oil change. I don't want to use the Lord's name in vain. I was dying yesterday. Now, it's potential because I'm just a tier 1 level wussbag sometimes, but I was in massive pain. Massive pain. It was unbelievable.
Okay. Cool.
So bad
Perfect.
that I never take painkillers. And on serious note, people in my family who have addiction problems and stuff, I tell you all way too much. But it doesn't matter. So I'm like, I'm not taking anything. I had a cave. I took some extra strength Tylenol, which is like a wonder drug. I couldn't believe how quick that worked. And then I had to take some Advil later on the night, and I woke up at 1 in the morning, still in pain. And I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I'll tell you anyway. You know, when I was going through chemo, they give you a cornucopia of drugs. I mean, you got stuff in it, you don't even know what it is. You're like, bucalatarazarib? What the hell is this crap? You don't even know. They're just like, take it, right? So the bucalatarazarib, I had all this stuff. I had to take like a sedative to go to sleep last night. That's probably not even good anymore. I probably poisoned myself. So if I die on the air during the show, check me for liver failure. That's how bad I was in pain yesterday. From this thing, I had no idea. One more thing. And then the weirdest thing of all, I wake up this morning, and I'm seriously saying to myself, the show's going to suck. The podcast's going to be terrible. The radio show's going to be terrible. I didn't tell Jim this, but I was going to ask Jim and Mike to guest host, because I'm like, I can't do it. And I'm trying to figure out if Lisa Booth is available to do my Fox show, which I have to do some recording tonight for Saturday. I have a couple of guests that I have to do tonight. I wake up this morning, I feel fine. I feel fine. Totally fine. No problem. Matter of fact, even worked out. Wasn't starting to look like nothing happened. What the hell is wrong? I don't even know. I gave a little update.
Yeah, brought to you by
I didn't know I was done. I was done with the TMI, but you don't even know that. Now I'm going to add more. So I have my locals account, which I do like this kind of inside baseball. I gave a little tour of my studio last night while I was in pain because I had to get distracted. And I always like to do life hacks on local. Speaking of which, I got a medical doctor who specializes in the brain coming on my Fox show tomorrow night Unfiltered at 9 p.m. with these life hacks for the brain. This is awesome. Don't miss it. It's going to be really cool. Don't miss that segment. Okay, it's Friday. So on a bit of a lighter note, before I dig into two massive scandals, another Twitter files drop, which really exposes the deep state like you've never seen. No, I mean really. This one is really simple to understand and exposes how the deep state's probably not even a good name for the cabal. I'll explain why. And then the Biden files, which I was off the air for yesterday. Thankfully, Kira Davis is fantastic and filled in. But I should be fired for that instantaneously. I should be instantly fired. I had no other choice, though. I was horrified and humiliated. I was not on the air. Before we get to any of that, there's another edition out on the dark web, and Jim's always out there on the dark web, engaged in some kind of shenanigans. There is another edition of this new series on the dark web. It's really popular. I think it won some Golden Globes. It's called WTF Is She Saying? You can figure out what the what and the F is for. And strangely, the show is always about Kamala Harris because she's always saying some crazy stuff. But this is like the 7th installment. Jim pulled the teaser. This is great. Check this out.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, is she safe? With the Vice President of the United States.
I think of this moment as a moment that is about great momentum, inspired by, yes, optimism, inspired by a crisis, no doubt, but inspired by also our collective ability to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And that's critically important.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, is she safe? With Kamala Harris. Brought to you by Dan Bongino.
I've never heard anything like it. I mean, such profound, deep inspiration, and I sit there transfixed every time I listen. Like, thank God we've got such an inspirational leader leading our country. What a train wreck. That show is really popular. I heard it got 4 or 5 Golden Globes, which is really great. You deserve the award. So, listen, never, and I mean never ever, will a story more perfectly sum up how the deep state operates than Twitter files drop number 14. Some of them I've covered more intensely than others because some of them are more chock full of information. This one yesterday was a, what do we call it, doozy? I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It made me rethink something, and I want to throw this out there to the listening audience. It really made me rethink the idea of the deep state. I think the wording is off on that. And after I describe what I'm talking about with yesterday's Twitter files drop, I think you'll agree. I think deep state's a really bad couple of terms for it. And believe me, it's not because liberals don't like it. Liberals don't tell me what to say. Matter of fact, when they tell me not to say something, I usually say it twice or 3 times just to tick them off. It's that deep state implies that they're state actors that are working in this kind of cabal of idiots to destroy the United States. Now, the destruction part and the cabal are correct, but they're not always state actors. It implies like an official government role. Now, a lot of times there is. I mean, the Spygate thing, there were FBI operatives spying on Donald Trump. They actually know their names, and people who are paid by the FBI. However, the deep state's a bad kind of way to phrase it up there, because they're not state actors. It's more of a cabal. The deep cabal, I don't know what to call it. I don't care what you call it. The deep state, the silly state, the sloppy state. I don't know. But it's media, it's academics, it's think tanks like Brookings, it's, random pop-up groups like the Alliance for, what was that thing called? The Alliance for Democracy Defense or whatever that nonsense group was. The Alliance for Securing Democracy. These groups just pop up randomly. It's former members of the state, former FBI. And the Twitter files drop shows how they work. In other words, how they get you to believe in a story that is completely fake with zero evidence whatsoever, and they get the media to back them up on it, i.e. Donald Trump stole the election with Vladimir Putin. A totally fake, fabricated, invented story with not a shred of evidence to it. So Taibbi dropped it, Matt Taibbi, it was Twitter Files 14, and the Washington Times summed it up pretty well in this piece by Joseph Clark. Democrats were told the theory on Russian bots was false. Twitter employees said the idea lacked the evidence on the platform. Let me get not bury the lead with the bottom line up front. Here's what Twitter Files 14 in sum, in an abstract form, said. So the Democrats obviously made up the Russia hoax. Trump colluded with Russia to steal the election. You all heard it 1,000 times, right? They made that up. Total fabrication. They used the FBI, state actors, and non-state actors of Brookings Institute, Fusion GPS, and others to filter that story out in the media, to give it an imprimatur of credibility, put a patina of credibility on it with their imprimatur, I should say. Now, the Twitter Files exposed that once this thing was exposed, this fake story, this Russia hoax by Devin Nunes, and Kash Patel will be here later, one of his foot soldiers in this fight to talk about that. Once it was exposed, the entire scam via the Devin Nunes memo, referred to from this point on as the Nunes memo. Once it was exposed, the Democrats freaked out. They totally panicked. They lost their minds. The Democrats lost their minds. The media panicked. The think tankers panicked. The academics panicked. The Tom Nichols of the world, death of expertise people panicked. The Seth Abramsons of the world. They panicked because the Nunes memo laid out in detail exactly how the scam worked. How the cabal, not all state actors, how the cabal got the public to believe this fake Russia hoax. They freaked out because it was now down on paper. So now the media has in front of it, think about this folks, has in front of it the biggest media scoop in modern American history, that the Democrats tried to steal an election in 2016. They almost made it. Tried to steal an election in 2016 by working with the FBI to create a fake Russia story. They had the biggest scoop in the world via the Nunes memo. And how did the media and the cabal, the think tankers, Democrats in Congress respond? They turned around and went back to Twitter again and said, listen, you got to make that Nunes memo go away. Matter of fact, we think the Nunes memo is being promoted by Russia. This story, I mean, again, think about the moose nuts you need to have to go out and do this. So, you're a media hack in the cabal. You promote the PP hoax, right? The whole time, the Russia hoax, that there's a PP tape out there. You promote this thing with no human dignity at all. You don't have a shred of evidence that this thing is actually true, but you do it because you hate Trump. You then get busted. You get cold busted in the Nunes memo. And instead of coming clean and admitting your role in one of the biggest political hoaxes in human history, and crimes were committed, you then work with hacks up on Capitol Hill, goon think tank, fake organizations that pop up. You work with them to pressure Twitter to make the story go away about you being exposed, and you go back to the same story in the first place. Oh, the Russians did it. Now, here's the hilarious part about this. This is how stupid. Remember yesterday's show? Oh, well, the day before. I'm sorry, I was out yesterday. Oh, I did a podcast, though. Yesterday's show was about kind of stay dopey libs. How it's really impressive liberal stupidity. It really is an impressive level of stupidity. It's like they're trying to be dumb. It's not accidental. And it takes effort to be this stupid, right? Imagine being one of these liberal media morons. And your theory, and it's not really, they know it's fake, but the theory you're pushing to Twitter is that the Russians are promoting the Nunes memo, which exposes the Russians' illicit role in stealing elections. It's so funny when you just bare bones it, folks. Don't overcomplicate this. This is what Adam Schiff, Dianne Feinstein, Swalwell, Blumenthal, Mark Warner, these hack Democrats up on Capitol Hill, working with Natasha Bertrand, Adam Goldman, Ken Delanian, the crew of PP hoaxers. I'm talking about big picture. This is what they managed to pull off. And liberals, your level of stupidity is impressive. The Russians stole the election with Trump. You believe they did it because they had a pee-pee tape that mysteriously no one's seen. Social media leaks everything. They leak including the fact that Donald Trump likes 2 scoops of ice cream. But there's a magic pee-pee tape out there no one sees. You believe it, or you pretend to. You get busted using that to try to steal an election. You then get caught, and the way to get around getting caught about your fake Russian theory is to say the Russians were behind you getting caught exposing the Russians. So great. Just imagine can you imagine being this dumb? Imagine you're a liberal, right? And your parents are normal. And you're at a Thanksgiving dinner explaining this to your parents, who are sitting there pouring the gravy on the turkey at Thanksgiving going, here's what they're quietly saying in their head, because they don't want to disrupt the dinner too much. They're like, son's a freaking idiot. They're all thinking this at the table. Here's the problem, nobody wants to tell you. Nobody wants to tell you how dumb you really are. I'll tell you. Your parents quietly hate you. And they don't, that's why you didn't get